Hello and welcome into the PHNX Cardinal podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined as always in studio by the GM Saul Bookman as we are on the eve of NFL free agency. Saul, the moves, the transactions, they're coming out fast and furious.
You know, I can't remember a time in the NFL where we haven't even hit free agency yet, and the news about the NFL has been as crazy as it has been the last 2 months. I can't it's almost like the NBA offseason where it's just always, rumors and movement and he said, she said kind of things. It's truly remarkable. What a time.
I love it. We already got 14 people here ready to rock and roll on an Arizona Cardinal free agency Friday. And I mean, Saul, where do we start other than the news that just broke? Deshaun Watson, current Houston Texan for how long we don't know, will not face criminal charges stemming from upwards of 22 different women coming out against him for potential sexual assault dating back to a series of massages. And I mean, okay, so he's clear from criminal charges. He will not face criminal charges. That doesn't mean, like we talked about, but not by a grand jury. That doesn't mean that the league won't suspend him, won't intervene. That doesn't mean that, he's a good guy, right? But what I think that does mean is a lot of teams now, especially with a third of the league facing quarterback purgatory, are about to look the other way and are about to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. If there was any hesitation from any team in regard to Deshaun Watson and you considered making a move, this absolutely just swayed you to make that move or at least talk about making that move. Teams like the Dolphins who have absolutely written off or did write off Deshaun Watson, guess what? They're going to be right back in the mix.
They're back.
The Eagles, the Panthers, the Saints, the Buccaneers, they're all of a sudden in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, whether you like it or not. Again, we have to be clear. He's been cleared through a grand jury of criminal charges. That does not mean in the civil setting he won't face criminal charges or lawsuits, and I expect that to happen.
Yeah.
At least from a grand jury. He went through 2 depositions today. And through those 2 depositions, they made the call that he wouldn't have to face those criminal charges. So it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of movement we see here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jalen says in the chat that criminal charges were only by 9 women. He still has 22 civil cases pending. Frankly, I haven't kept up on this because it's not relevant, not yet, for the Arizona Cardinals. I was fearful last offseason that he would end up in San Francisco. I felt like a lot of people thought that that's where this was headed. And then the allegations came out. They pivoted to Trey Lance. Now there's talk, could Seattle get into the mix? I have heard, Saul, leading up to this, if this was to be the expected outcome, Carolina is the front runner. They are desperate for a franchise quarterback. I do believe that they have more ammunition to trade. Seattle just recouped the picks they lost for Jamal Adams. They don't have just a bounty of extra picks. I also think somebody like Philadelphia, we like Jalen Hurts, but they've got 3 picks in the teens this year alone. They're the only team right now. You can only trade a first from 3 consecutive years. But that doesn't mean they can't trade their 3 ones this year and then 2 additional ones, even though that's a gross overpay. They have the most leverage. As Cardinals update says, 20-plus cases came out to say similar thing. He obviously did it, which is insane how he's going to be playing in the league, which is sickening. And, we're not judge, jury here, but, I mean, from court of public opinion, not a great look by the team, Saul, that opts does trade for him. I mean, people want to complain about Kyler Murray and Instagram posts, and this is a whole other ball game. Trying to sell this guy to your fan base, sell jerseys, put them on your website.
Well, again, okay, listen, I completely understand that, but we've had instances in the NFL
where fan bases or teams have looked the other way. Look at Michael Vick. He served 2 years in a state penitentiary for the dog fighting scandal, and listen, he came back. Some people like to give people second chances, some don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure where Deshaun Watson lies in all that. Yes, when 22 plus women come out, you got to think there's some truth in there, right?
Yeah, not a good look.
But the grand jury has dismissed it, and I don't know where these civil cases are going to go. And if you're a franchise that really has no conscience, you're going to look at Deshaun Watson, you're going to try and make a move. And if there is a particular place where I could see Deshaun Watson going and getting the benefit of the doubt, why wouldn't it be Charlotte, where in Carolina, where he played football at Clemson? He's got a lot of the South Carolina roots. A lot of people love him out there still. And there's going to be a lot of people that just are going to look the other way. So that's probably the most ideal situation for Deshaun Watson to go to. Either way, it definitely feels like in terms of the amount of teams that may be interested, that he's going to stay in the NFC.
Well, no, he's going to move
to
the AFC. Yeah, I feel like the Houston Texans do not want him in the AFC, but at this point, like, the AFC is so loaded. Like, who cares if you're Houston? If somebody gives you a better package, you're not close to competing. Your head coach is Lovie Smith. I love Lovie Smith, but he was just, an under 500 coach at, University of Illinois. They have nothing. They're starting over. So I would just take the best package, because, like, I feel like with Deshaun now, his public image has taken just a massive beating, and he is not considered a top quarterback yet. He hasn't been on the field for 2 years. And then, oh, by the way, when he was on the field, he was leading a Houston team. I think they won 4 games his last year. So people are concerned that Saul may end up in Seattle. I think that's a possibility. And what would that mean for the Cardinals? Their chances, they're still led by Pete Carroll, who's a defensive coach. I think Russell Wilson's a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, but you get him younger. We don't know what the contract looks like. That's a conversation for another day, but it feels like Deshaun, I think a trade could happen like in a matter of days. If you're Houston, now this is out and you feel like you have a little bit momentum, you better trade him now. Get him off your team. This is the most, it feels like the air is going to clear, Saul, for him. I feel like it could only get worse from here. So, like, it's not going to get any better. So why not try to capitalize, especially before teams next week, Saul, like, maybe pivot to like Mitch Trubisky or Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, okay, Deshaun Watson, let's try to push this narrative hard now. Hey, guys, he's good. It's cleaned up. Who wants to give us the biggest package?
It's a sticky situation.
Yeah.
And if you are a PR team for whatever said organization is going to be that is going to acquire Deshaun Watson, you better have your A game ready to go. And you better understand what you just better be ready. And I think of guys like, like Mark Dalton and Chris Melvin and company over here at the Cardinals and how they would deal with things. And it's got to be very strategic. It's got to be very calculated, and it's got to be very brief, right? You can't give people ammo because they're looking for it. They are looking for it. And so, and Jalen Blair is absolutely correct. Jalen always coming with the heat. Watson has a no trade clause, so he will have say in wherever he wants to go. Eagles and Panthers are probably most intriguing, especially.
What about Tampa with Bruce
Steelers
Arians?
Are out on him. Yeah, Tampa. Listen, to me, I think Deshaun, if he sits there and thinks about situationally where is the best fit for him to go, I do believe it's either going to be Tampa or the Carolina Panthers. Or Philadelphia, because Philadelphia has literally dealt with this exact situation almost in a different way. Obviously, when we're talking about sexual assault versus dogfighting, but criminal investigations, bringing on players with baggage, they've dealt with this. They know how to handle this, and that fan base is so soulless. They don't care. They don't care where the player is as long as he performs on the field. They don't care.
Well, I think you made a great point. Like, if of all the teams you just named, like, Seattle would be the last on my list because of old Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson wanted out. So if I'm Deshaun, like, why do I want to come in? The team is already bad, and now you're going to give up additional resources to get Watson. He doesn't want to play in Houston anymore because the team is bad. So it's like, okay, who has an influx of cash and draft capital? It's Philadelphia. Carolina has a bunch of extra cash they can pay him. Tampa Bay is a Super Bowl ready roster. It just depends on, additional first. Then do they give up some pieces? But the Cardinal rule says in the chat, New Orleans might be interesting. The only issue there is their cap is a nightmare, and Sean Payton is gone. If Sean Payton was there, I would say absolutely. But if I'm him, like I could go to Carolina and run the NFC South. I could go to Tampa and run the NFC South. I could go to the NFC East with Philly and dominate that division. He goes to Seattle in this division. We just saw it with Russell Wilson. Like, you're not guaranteed anything. You had two teams that weren't the Cardinals or the Seahawks in the NFC title game. So everybody who's jumping on board, like Richard Sherman came out. So I don't know if you saw this yesterday on his podcast and basically said, like, they're pushing for him. It's not going to be Drew Lock. It's not going to be Geno Smith. I mean, that's fine if they want to push for him, but you have to have the assets. And great point about the no trade. Totally forgot about that. Josh Hutt, if they don't care about player on the field, they should have more conversation about Kaepernick. Well, that should have been a conversation that happened 6 years ago. But we all know why that didn't happen. The Cardinals should have signed Colin Kaepernick when they had all the injuries to Palmer and Drew Stanton. But that's different conversation with the owners dug in their heels. Watson, on a completely different spectrum, will have a job. That just shows you the priorities of the NFL, unfortunately. But let's pivot off of Deshaun.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Enough non-Cardinal talk. Let's talk about our team.
That's right.
What the people are here for. Let's go.
Okay. So first and foremost, a couple notables. I'll let you run with what you want to run with, Saul. Eddie Goldman, nose tackle, stud for the Chicago Bears, was released today. 28 years old. One of the best run-stuffing nose tackles in the NFL available now, basically without giving up compensation. Also, our guy from the season that we talked about continually, looks like Fletcher Cox is going to be moved. There's a big cap hit that's associated with that. You'd have to give up a draft pick. What is your preference between nose tackles now, with the Cardinals looking for a replacement for Corey Peters?
I absolutely think it's option A.
Yes.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Listen, you got throttled in the run this year. You have to shore that up some way, somehow. This guy is an absolute run stopper, gap stopper, fantastic against the run. Not so much against the pass, but that's okay. That's not what you're looking for. You need somebody to stop a dude from just blitzing you on 1st and 10 for 7 yards a pop. That's what you need to stop.
Eddie Goldman was I believe, a second round pick of the Chicago Bears back in 2015. Productive player, like you mentioned. He's not going to give you anything as a penetrating defensive tackle. Actually, his best season was his rookie season. He had 4.5 sacks. But what you are going to get is you're going to get a huge man at 6'3", almost 340 pounds, dominate the interior defensive line alongside two guys that can rush the passer in J. Watt and Zach Allen. So I think this is the home run move we want to talk about on the defensive line. He went to Florida State. He's played in that division at a high level against Green Bay. He's dominated Green Bay's really, I think, one of the most premier offensive line. You always see Eddie Goldman flashing for them. They have a very difficult time running the football with Aaron Jones and company against Chicago for this reason. The Cardinals, to me, have two glaring weaknesses on their front seven. They need an outside linebacker, because we're going to talk about Chandler Jones here in a little bit. He is gone. Okay, so there's one hole. And then you need a defensive tackle, because I think we're all assuming, it hasn't happened yet. Why it hasn't happened, I don't know, that Jordan Phillips is going to be gone, especially at his ridiculous cap number. He's just, if you could get Jordan Phillips healthy, that'd be one thing, but he's never healthy. You can't count on players like that. Eddie Goldman, for the most part, he did miss a couple games last year, Saul. Year before that, 15 games, 16 games, 15 games. I think this is the move, maybe not to open up free agency with. And the Cardinals are kind of in a unique position, because like most teams want a defensive tackle that can rush the passer. The Cardinals were so poor against the run last year. You just have to get back to basics with somebody like Eddie Goldman. And Fletcher Cox is too expensive. And I mean, he's older than Goldman. I think it's an easy decision.
DJ Jones is another one that's kind of underrated right now.
Yeah.
DJ Jones, defensive tackle from San Francisco. If you just watch him, if you watched a little bit, especially towards the end of the season, you'll see that he's very, very good. And, we got to start thinking about either flexibility signings or guys that maybe everybody's kind of sleeping on. This is a guy that people are sleeping on. I would also throw out another name, and I know on the surface people might cringe, but I think there's still a little bit there, especially if you team them with J.J. Watt.
Okay.
Again, who do you think I'm going to talk about?
Oh man, J.J. Watt, defensive line.
Jadeveon Clowney.
No, I'm not into
Listen.
No,
he's so much better against the run than he used to be. So much better against the run. He'll give you the occasional pass rush, but again, from the edge, I understand you don't pay you also don't pay a premium from the edge for run stoppers. You don't, okay? But situationally, I think Jadeveon Clowney wouldn't be a bad move. It wouldn't.
If you want to double down with he and Kennard and then maybe a draft pick, that's fine. But you're not going to get anything off the edge. You better kick JJ Watt to edge rusher than on third down. I could wrap my head around it. I wouldn't hate it. Some of the comments, Cardinal Rule saying, I think Jordan is going to be a post-June 1st cut. He absolutely will, but you can designate him for a post-June 1st cut and then let him go find a new team now. And that information will come out. But yeah, Jalen Blair says maybe they get Jordan Phillips to take a pay cut. I wouldn't even ask him to do that. You just can't count. I don't think he's worth a roster spot because you can't count on him to be on the field. Agreed. He missed like most of training camp last year. I want people, even if there's a talent drop off, because like I feel like on the surface, I think Jordan Phillips is more talented than Eddie Goldman. But Eddie Goldman is going to play and give 100%. Jordan Phillips, dude, we were fearful of it, Saul. 9.5 sacks in Buffalo, literal cash grab, Arizona, and just checked out.
One more name I want to throw at you.
Okay.
What do you think? And the reason why I say this is because when he went from the Steelers to the Chiefs, he changed that defense basically single-handedly.
Yeah.
Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
I like me some Melvin Ingram.
I do too. Listen, there are options at pass rusher beyond Hassan Reddick that were talked about. Reddick's going to get broken off, whether it's by the Cardinals or somebody else. Chandler Jones is going to get broken off. I think that's probably the right kind of mindset if you strike out on Hassan Reddick and you get one of these guys on a 1 or 2 year deal, prove it deal. But I mean, there's going to be a drop off from Chandler Jones outside of Reddick. I firmly believe that. And a lot of these guys are one pitch guys. They can come in and throw a couple fastballs on Sundays, but then they're not every down players. That's why ideally you'd like to find somebody younger via the draft. We're not wasting money with $4 a gallon gas. We on a budget.
True.
Now, hey man, here in Arizona, it's creeping up to $5.
Yeah.
Goldman is more of a run stopper than Phillips, who is more of an interior pass rusher. Yeah, they need to run defense at D tackle right now because JJ, when he's healthy, and Zach Allen, both guys, I think, could give you 5 to 7 sacks apiece on the defensive line. Humble Rumble, gonna miss Chandler. Good times. We're gonna talk about Chandler Jones in a second, but Benjamin Albright, insider, who's very tapped in. We saw him at the combine in Denver. Said that he is a huge target for the Denver Broncos right now. Multiple other outlets. I mean, he is linked to about every team not named the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll have time to reminisce. One of the greatest, trades in franchise history. Disappointed the Cards couldn't do more winning while he was here, but that wasn't on Chandler for the most part. So
no, not even close.
Nope. A couple other interesting nuggets here. So Malcolm Butler is back taking visits. Saul got his personal stuff taken care of. He's visiting with the Houston Texans today. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, good for him. I listen. It's hard to judge guys based off of what you don't know, and unfortunately, and I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to sit here and say, whatever he was dealing with last year was either true or it was false. I'm not going to do that because I just don't know, and you really don't know the personal demons that people are dealing with, right? What I will say is this: had my man said that he was, he had some issues, whatever, and demanded like a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would have a problem with that because it's like, dude, you didn't even suit up for this team, man. And then you're demanding a trade. So that means you're going to be fit to go somewhere else and be okay. Listen, I'm not a believer in that. So, but he didn't do that. He laid low all last season. As soon as the season was over, he was like, okay, hey, I'm good to go now. So, if that, maybe he just needed 6 months. I don't know, but he got it. And now he's on to something else.
Yep. Cardinals are going to look for a corner. It will not be Malcolm Butler. Tyrann Mathieu is an overwhelming favorite to join New Orleans and reunite with his home state. Minus 120 via the DraftKings.
Feels like the Mathieu era is starting to come to a close. Like I feel like he has 2-3 years left, and then that's going to be about it.
Yep, he's been a hell of a player for a long time, maybe even a borderline Hall of Famer. It's too bad he couldn't spend majority of years in Arizona. It looks like Saul definitively now we will get an Amari Cooper trade. He will not be released, so we know there are teams out there. We don't think the Cardinals are one of them that are going to trade a draft pick or two for Amari, and we'll have to take on $20 million in cap. And I think that just speaks to the fact that premium receivers like Mike Williams got $20 million a year. So why wouldn't you trade a pick for Amari Cooper and not have to scratch and claw against everybody else in free agency? And Christian Kirk, he's going to be. I mean, if Amari Cooper is not cut and he's traded, and that leaves Christian Kirk as like the number 1 or 2 receiver in free agency, which is crazy. It's absolutely insane.
He's a top 20 player in some free agency projections, which is insane to me. It's just insane to me. It's like, are you guys even watching football?
Are you a little concerned about him going elsewhere and just like not concerned because we root for players to succeed, but like what would be the reaction if he went somewhere next year and had like a 1,300-yard season?
Well, let me tell you this right now. If he goes to I don't know what. I don't even think there's a team that has a good quarterback that is even interested in him.
Well, it'd be like, what if he went to Chicago with Justin Fields and he was like his number 1 receiver next year by default?
Enjoy your 800-yard season.
I don't know, man.
It ain't gonna happen. Not with Justin Fields.
You don't like Justin Fields?
Like, dude, like he'd be so much better off at taking like a 1 or 2 year deal and going to play with a quarterback that is like phenomenal. Like take a 1 or 2 year deal and go to Green Bay, make some crazy money, and then call it, and then go play for the damn Lions and call it whatever. But I just don't see it, man. I really just don't see it.
I think that'll be a big indictment on this ownership, this general manager, this regime, if he goes elsewhere and has just a huge, peak years of his career.
You really think that could happen?
I think it's always on the table. There are people, we watch tape. We don't study tape for a living. There are people who study tape for a living who believe Christian Kirk can become a number 1 receiver and that teams are, quote, salivating to get their hands on him in free agency, and he will be paid handsomely. I saw that headline.
How much? Like, let's just say Christian Kirk was going to listen to your offer.
Yeah.
What would your offer be for Christian Kirk to keep him in Arizona?
Oh, to keep him in Arizona? Based on like how he's been used and his rapport with Kyler Murray, I would probably say like I would give him a 4-year deal that averaged probably $12 million a year.
4-year, $48 million. How much guaranteed?
Yeah. Like 25. That's fine. That's not the contract he's going to get is going to dwarf what I just said. He is going to get 4 years, $65 million with like, he's going to get $16 million a year.
Man,
people feel like he's been underutilized, that he can play special teams, and he's got.
Oh my God, I hate that argument so much. What has Christian Kirk done special team wise that leads you to believe that he's an elite special teams guy?
Well, he can return kicks, not well.
Oh, cool! He can catch a punt. Awesome.
Yeah. All right, Steelers, Panthers, Seahawks are all entering the bidding war for Deshaun Watson. Panthers are considered the favorite. Interesting. It seems like Deshaun is bound for the NFC. So our short-lived celebration of the NFC being trash at quarterback lasted about 3 days after Russell Wilson got traded. Jalen saying Christian Kirk can't return kicks or punts. I mean, he can fair catch it. Phoenix Suns asking, any way we can get AB? No, we cannot get AB. AB wants to get back in the lead.
Did you see the exchange between him and Ryan Clark?
No.
On Showtime? Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. They were talking about those two going at it in practice, and AB was referencing getting slapped in the head, And then people talking about, because he had just signed a new contract. This is like after his second or third year in the league.
Yeah.
And like he felt like people were like attacking him. And so he was like, and he was going back at like Dick LeBeau, going back at like Ryan Clark in the middle of practice and stuff, like really fascinating stuff. And Ryan Clark was like, "Oh, whoa, time out. Stop your bullshit. This is what really happened." And those two kind of went back and forth. It was fascinating stuff.
Dude, AB, get some help, my man. If you can't make it work with Tom Brady, he can't make it work with damn near anybody else. Tanner says, feels like Tampa should go after Deshaun. I feel like that Tampa's right now, their quarterback's Blaine Gabbert. So yeah, that would probably be the move. AB and Hopkins would be crazy good. Guys, can we draft a receiver and develop one that we don't have to worry about people like AB, or even trading picks and big time money for Amari Cooper. Like, it feels like Saul, that position, that wide receiver position, has become like the new unicorn for this organization. They haven't been able to find a bona fide star receiver since Larry Fitzgerald. They've had some good ones, flash in the pan, Michael Floyd, John Brown, and then there's been a lot of Andre Roberts, early Doucette. I mean, they have not been able to find no one's going to be Larry or Anquan, but just like a guy who can come in like a Terry McLaurin or somebody like that, borderline Pro Bowler, really nice player. That's the new unicorn for this organization that they cannot find.
Christian Watson.
No, stop.
Christian Watson.
Stop it. What was he doing? Who did he play last fall? Name a university.
I don't give a shit. He is a champion, sir.
Going to use my Panera Bread university. I couldn't even get it out. I feel that one way or another that Will Fuller ends up on the Cardinals. Look what I started yesterday. I just said somebody like that 1-year deal. I tweeted out a video of him on the PHNX Cardinals account. A lot of people were like, "Never." I'm like, okay, that's fine. You don't want Will Fuller? No big deal. Just throwing it out there. He said he would make literally no money, and he's buddies with D-Hop. His former first rounder. He's got elite speed. Hopkins probably kicks his moneymaker. Alec Pierce would be a nice fit. I would agree with that. AZ can't ID receivers. Don't talk to me about 2019 draft class. So I was looking at that draft class last night, the second round. Byron Murphy's a nice player. You know how many elite star players were taken after Byron Murphy?
Tell me.
7. AJ Brown, and of course DK Metcalf, Debo. It was just a gauntlet, and not just wide. There were other great players. Now I think AJ Green. Let's talk about their free agents real quick. Then I'm going to do a DraftKings read.
Let's do it.
How many free agents of note that the Cardinals have do you expect back? Like, we're fast forward this time next week. Who is back?
Oh, Jesus. Zach Ertz.
Yep.
I think Zach Ertz will be back.
Yep.
Let me look at the list. Hold up. I always forget what the list looks like. Hold up.
I'll give you mine while you're looking the list up. I'm going to go Zach Ertz, and that's it. I think that at least for the first couple waves, the first couple weeks, guys are going to feel out their market. I think Zach Ertz gets a contract extension from this franchise, gets re-signed, and then everybody else is just like, go and Keim does that thing, right, where he gives you a contract, and if he's like, here, this is for you. If you want to sign it, great. If you get more money, goodbye to you. I think that's what he's done with James Conner. Ooh, Jalen just gave a great one. I think Colt McCoy's back as well.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy's a great one.
Robert Alford isn't terrible.
Yeah.
He would probably take a discount because he knows he just fleeced the Cardinals for, 2 or 3
and he's just a really good
fit
for this team. He was great with Vance Joseph last year.
Just can't
Those are
healthy.
Great 3 suggestions, Jalen.
He just can't stay healthy. That's the problem.
Yeah. Cardinal Roy, I think Max Williams is back early. That's fine. But Max Williams people need to understand, he's been hurt the last 2 years. Everybody, and Saul, you put it best, we're at the combine. I don't even know if this was on a show. You said that everybody is infatuated with the first half outlier season that Max Williams had. That's not who Max Williams is.
No, he's never been that guy. But he had a great start to the season, and I would have loved to see where he went after that. But we didn't get that chance, and instead we got Zach Ertz, which was fantastic. But if you think Max Williams is going to give you Zach Ertz level play year in and year out, you're mistaken. It's not going to happen. He can be serviceable. He's a good player, but he's not elite. And when you're talking about Zach Ertz, he's elite. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit on Mr. Max. I love him, but no.
Yeah. Let's get him back on a relatively small deal, and he's a great run blocker. Zach Ertz is a top 10 tight end in the NFL, and should be paid accordingly. If Zach Ertz gets to the market, he's going to get a nice, very nice contract from somebody. Man, a lot of decisions, but we do feel good about Zach Ertz. He's been in contract talks with the team. I'd be surprised if that didn't get done. Saul, are you ready for tonight's tip-off at 7 p.m.?
I am.
Feeling
Suns will be playing at the exact same time, but we're missing our key point guard, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll be okay.
They will hopefully be okay. If you're ready to feel the excitement of conference championships like never before, turn your team's victory into your own big win with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win. You can get it on right now if you bet U of A and they win, and you're new to DraftKings, you get $200 in free bets. If they do, it's that simple. They win, you win. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also utilize same-game parlays, combine multiple bets from the same game for an even bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. It's a call to action. Use that promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any college hoops team to win their game. Get $200 in free bets. 21 and over. Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEPS. New customer only. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details. Saul, my DraftKings.
Go ahead.
Real quick. DraftKings pick of the week is the Duke Blue Devils hosting Miami of Florida after the Duke Blue Devils blew Coach K's retirement ceremony at home. They are a 9-point favorite against Miami today. I think they rebound after being called sorry all week for making their fans cry, which I thought was hilarious. Go ahead, Saul.
Go Hurricanes, because I hate Duke basketball with a passion, almost as much as I hate ASU, because I'm a U of A guy, as we all know. Also, I did want to say this before things get too far down the road. Jackson Sipes, if you don't know who he is, he works as part of the digital team over at the Arizona Cardinals. Phenomenal graphic artist, really creative mind. He's leaving the organization as of today. He's on to something else bigger and better, I guess. But really cool kid, really cool guy. Got a chance to work with him. Best of luck to him as he moves forward. Just want to give him a little shout out.
I thought you were going to announce he was going to come work for us. I was going to be really excited. But wherever he goes, good luck to him. We have a lot of fun here. It sounds like, though, Saul, Chandler Jones did not have fun with the Arizona Cardinals in recent years. He came out on the Players Podcast, the NFL Players Podcast, and said the following. He's just letting it rip now that he knows he's gone. This is via the NFL Players Podcast. Where I am in my career, I've gotten contracts. I've gotten the Super Bowl, of course, with New England. But I think scheme is huge.
I really want you to read. I really want you to read this in like a Morgan Freeman voice. Where I am in my career, I've gotten contracts.
I think you're asking the wrong guy to do that. I can do Elmo, maybe.
I think scheme is huge. All for me, winning more championships.
You're asking the wrong guy. I can do high. I can go Elmo, but that's about it. I'll say it again.
No, come on, do it.
Elmo says, where I am in my career. I can't. I'm sorry. Everybody, please don't sign off.
To wrap it up, I will say I want to go to a place that maximizes my talents. There have been times in my career where I'd say I caught myself out of position. I do take the blame, but at the same time, it's like, hey, should I have been doing that? I have enough comfort where I am in my career and this age to say that.
Elmo says, Chandler Jones, goodbye. Chandler Jones throwing shade at the Cardinals and Vance Joseph.
Leah is losing her mind behind the back right now.
For dropping his ass into coverage. Is he wrong? I don't think he's wrong.
He's not wrong on that. But again, like a lot of defensive coordinators like to mix things up. Vance Joseph isn't the, some freak unusual bird that likes to drop guys randomly into coverage. Did he do it too much? Probably. But listen, he played for 3 different defensive coordinators. And he had some hits, some misses, and that is what it is.
Yeah. Chandler Jones, all-time great Cardinal. I hope he's able to look back on his time with the team fondly. One playoff berth and goodness, like 6 seasons with the team. Not great. He's been with the team since 2016. It's funny, Saul. I wrote an article not too long ago about GoPHNX.com, shameless plug. When they got him in 2016, they thought he was the missing piece of that championship team with Arians, and they made the playoffs one time. And it wasn't in 2016. It was in his final year. This year in 2021. Chandler Jones, to me, is outspoken, but he's a great locker room guy. Somebody that I think will probably be a missing piece on a championship team now. It doesn't sound like by his comments, and there were more comments than just that blurb right there. He's like, it's not going to be about the money. We'll see. If he goes to Jacksonville, we know it's about the money. If he goes to Denver, where rumored he's I sent something to you. His college coach the last 2 years, or one of his coordinators at Syracuse was our guy,
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett in Denver. And
our buddy Nathaniel.
So he's got some ties there. So maybe he replaces Von Miller, or maybe they're using Chandler Jones as leverage to lower the asking price with Von.
There ain't no chance Chandler Jones is going to the Denver Broncos. First of all, that's just not happening. Von Miller might not even end up going to the Broncos either. I think he's using them as leverage, trying to get their fan base all riled up for no reason, and then be able to come back and be like, I wanted to come back, but they wouldn't have me. Like that's my impression of Von Miller on a Friday. So. And also Chandler Jones, like, dude, like, listen, like most of us have a little bit of bitter taste in our mouth when we leave our former employer, right? Like, there's just a little bit of like, I wish things could have gone X, Y, or Z. I left Bally Sports Arizona. I didn't go onto Twitter and say all this other shit about them. Like, I loved my time there. I love the people there. They were good people. That's all you need to know. Like, that's it. You don't have to go out and be like, well, they didn't utilize me in the best place. Did it happen? Sure, maybe. But you don't have to, like, listen, own it. Just own it. Like, you were in that position. You could have left. You were there for 6 years. You were there for 6 years. You could have left any point in time. You could have forced a trade. You could have done a lot of different things. But you chose to stick it out and be a team player. And then after your first 5-sack performance of the season, you patted the pockets of the owner saying, you got to pay me. And then what happened? You didn't do shit for the rest of the season, gave us little flashes here and there, but you were not that dude. So just leave on a good note, leave on a positive note. We all remember you as a good dude. You don't have to go sour grapes on us. Let's go, man. Be better than that.
Bally Sports be better than putting the Memphis Grizzlies atop your power rankings on a social media graphic that,
I think I want to clarify, Bally Sports and Bally Sports Arizona are two different entities, in my opinion. And that trash that I saw from Bally Sports today, I could not believe it. Like, really? Never mind. This is a football podcast.
I had to poke the bear. NFL AZ Cardinals asking, here's a name that no one talks about, probably because he's washed. You guys think Peterson, Arizona Cardinal grade, Patrick Peterson comes back?
Hell no. No. Hell no. Ain't no way in hell Patrick P is coming back. Ain't no way.
Patrick P is going to play for the vet minimum this year, and this could be it for old Pat P. He got torched one too many times in Minnesota. Great player, though. But time to get younger, time to move on. Jalen, I think we could use Joe. I think we could have used Jones better. We could have ran more stunts in games to try to get him one-on-one. I mean, Vance Joseph is not the most creative defensive coordinator in the NFL. Otherwise, Zaven Collins would have played last year, and they would have found a place to maximize his talents, even though he wasn't starting over Jordan Hicks. He's very stubborn. Now, the Cardinals have gotten better every year defensively under Vance. So if you want to hang your hat on that, you can. But this linebacking core is going to look very different. And there have been two staples of this linebacking core for Vance and Kingsbury's tenure, and it's been Jordan Hicks and it's been Chandler Jones outside of the year Chandler went down. They're gone now. So it's for Saul doesn't miss either. For better or worse, you took two guys in the top 16. They got to play. We love Marcus Golden. Right now, Saul, you would say Marcus Golden is the only sure thing in that foursome at linebacker. Simmons has question marks. Collins never played. And then the TBD on the opposite, edge rusher position. It's going to be interesting.
I want to roll with the dudes that want to be here. And I know money and contracts have a large part to do with this, but listen, at the end of the day, I want guys that want to be here, that want to grind, that want to work, that want to produce results for this organization instead of worrying about, like listen to DeAndre Ayton yesterday talking about, you know what? I don't even care about the contract anymore. I just want to win. I want to be known as a winner and I want to play with winners. Like that's what the fuck you need here. Like, and too many guys are worried about their own paper. And I understand that the NFL is a far different animal than most of the other sports because the guaranteed money is not there. The only guaranteed money you get is when you sign your contract. That's about it. So I get that. But at the same time, like there's got to be a balance here. And you can't look and feel like you're only concerned about yourself when you're on the field. And that's why I would definitely say like, hey, Chandler Jones, go get your money. It ain't going to be here in Arizona. Sorry, bro. And Gilmore, I don't think he's going to be an option. I don't. Yeah.
Sounds like they're trying to re-sign him in Carolina. They traded for him. This is interesting, Saul. The Vikings are very open, per sources, to trading Kirk Cousins this year. That's via Jason LaCanfora. So could have some quarterback movement outside of Deshaun in the NFC. Just like,
or maybe they want quarterback movement because they want Deshaun in the NFC.
Be interesting. Wouldn't hate Aaron Rodgers versus Deshaun Watson twice a year.
No, I wouldn't hate that.
Would actually enjoy it. When you dealing with the Cards, you better go get your money. It's true. I don't think the Cardinals are a relatively cheap organization. I think they're very shrewd once you reach a certain point in your career, age-wise and production. They didn't want to pay Calais Campbell. That bit them in the ass. They didn't want to pay Patrick Peterson. Good decision, right? Chandler Jones, I think Saul and I both feel like the time has come. He disappeared too many times down the stretch. He's not great against the run. He's a little bit of a one-trick pony at this point. Better to be a year early than a year late. Yep. I think that's why. And somebody asked in the chat, do you think Reddick is their main target this year? Yeah. I got a double sourced, and the person I trust, I said, what is their level of interest? And it was, quote, significant. So now he may be the number one target for 4 or 5 other teams, in which case that throws a wrench into the whole thing. So I can't sit here and say, well, Son Reddick's going to be an Arizona Cardinal. Well, the Cardinals have still no money, right? And a lot of holes to fill.
They're working on it. They're working on it.
I think they'll be in the mix for Reddick.
But they will have, they will have a lot of money next year.
They will. And they can reallocate. They can get guys extended. I think a D-Hop restructure is in order. I think a DJ Humphreys extension is in order to get his cap number down. I have tried to sniff around the Humphreys situation, even with his poor year last year. So I don't think there's any appetite to move off of him. And then I think the number one target right now, Austin, in the chat, is to get Zach Ertz re-signed. They've been in contact. It's going to be a crazy weekend because Monday, Zach Ertz can negotiate with other teams. Now, he could do that right now under the table, but so it could be in the Cardinals' best interest. We got a tweet from a national reporter or me or somebody else that said Zach Ertz and the Cardinals have agreed on an extension. That would be a great way to kick off this free agency period.
I think it's coming. I think it's coming. And I tell you what, Monday, Monday is the official unstart, if you will, behind the scenes start, whatever you want to call it, a free agency. And then Wednesday, I do believe I got this right. Wednesday is when they can actually sign with teams officially. And I don't understand the tampering thing. It's just an excuse.
It's an excuse to own the week. We will know deals on Monday. Deals are going to the little precursor of when free agency opens Wednesday. Expect Zach Ertz to sign, or expect Hassan Reddick to sign with the Arizona Cardinals or something like that. That's how it's phrased. It's interesting because they're tampering right now. They're talking right now because all the tweets then come out on Monday. So it's like, well, you wouldn't have known that unless you've been talking. Alan is saying, is James Conner going to walk? If you had to ask me, do I think James Conner is back? I say 55-45. He is back, but they will let him test the market. And if a team overpays him, like Kenyon Drake got overpaid, I think this offense just needs a big back, whether it's James or somebody else. James had under 4 yards. Yeah. He had under 4 yards a carry last year. Now he had 18 touchdowns. When your quarterback is little, and I'm a little guy, I know this definitively, it's hard to get around and through big people. And so when the Cardinals have issues, yeah, like when I'm in a mall or someplace that's crowded, it's hard for me to shift around people when they're bigger than me. And
It's true.
Kyler Murray feels that pain.
When we were at the bars and Johnny walked in, I didn't even know he walked in until he tapped me on my belt loop. I was like, "What the hell? Oh, hey, what's up, Johnny?"
Like when my 2-year-old comes up to me and wants to go in the pantry and puts her arms up, like, "Daddy, help!" That's how I am with Saul at the bar. So, in all seriousness,
going back to we had a quick question earlier. Jose, I'm going to try and say this last name right. Sisiama.
No.
I said, "What's the total cap allowed this year?" This year, it's 208.2 mil, up from 182 mil a year ago.
Yep. James Conner, I would probably say if you wanted to go 2 for 10, $5 million, he made $1 million last year. Any more than that, I'm saying let's go get one of these.
He made how much last year?
$1 million, 1.7 or something. Nothing. He made no money.
Oh wow!
They got him in early April, and he was on a 1-year contract for the vet minimum.
Wow!
And he was a Pro Bowl running back. That's how championship teams are built. Not like the Raiders when they overpaid Kenyon Drake. But again, I think this offense, we've talked about this before, Saul, makes running backs. I think that any back comes in here of note that's capable with size and will have 12, 15 touchdowns next year. Because of Kyler's threat and presence, the offensive line is better than people think. They're in the red zone freaking all day. They're always in the red zone. Now, whether or not they can convert is a different story. They need a short yardage back for the goal line, and then Kingsbury and Gordon on fourth and goal because just little Kyler can't get under center. I can relate.
Yeah, Connor going for the bag, maybe, but the bag ain't going to be that big. It ain't. At the most I could see Connor getting maybe $6 million a year, but he's not going to be. He's not going to be in the double figures per year. Nobody's going to want to pay that kind of money to a running back. Also, I mean, listen. When you're talking about the running back position, it's flexible. It just is. And you got a lot of dudes in the draft that are coming out that would be nice, pieces for your franchise. So I don't know. Paying Connor is great. And if you can get him for maybe, $4 or $5 million a year and he takes it, cool. If not, all right, you move on and we go on to the next thing. So we'll see what happens.
I want to remind everybody, children 5 and older are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is the best tool we have to reduce the risk and chances of getting sick with COVID-19. The vaccine can reduce the risk of being hospitalized or even dying from the disease. It is safe, free, and highly effective, and vaccines for COVID-19 are available throughout Arizona. Visit azhealth.gov/findvaccine for a location nearest to you. James Conner is going to be 27. The reason that the Steelers didn't want him back is because he was hurt all the time, and he missed time last year because he was injured. So I think that in a perfect world, he's around with a rookie 3rd, 4th rounder to complement him and be a bridge guy for a couple years. But they will not be afraid to pivot. Keim has learned. He paid Rashawn Mendenhall. That didn't work out. Everybody thought it was Andre Ellington. Everybody thought it was David Johnson after his extension. Like, to Saul's point, that position is fluid, and the teams that are running back dependent are not winning championships. I mean, like the running back situation for the Rams this year was a hot garbage mess disaster, and they won the Super Bowl. Joe Mixon's great. He was a 3rd round pick out of Oklahoma. He makes nice money. That's like the best case scenario. You find a nice balance with a franchise quarterback like Joe Burrow.
Yeah, the running back position is fast becoming like the kicker.
Yeah.
It's almost like taking a defense in your fantasy football draft. You don't do it before the 9th round, right? And in the NFL, it's almost like you can't do it before the 3rd round. Like you just can't, because they're not worth their weight in gold. Not anymore. Not with this passing. Not as with the NFL as a passing league. It just ain't.
You have too many other holes. Tanner asking, why is everyone so hesitant to play? I don't think they're hesitant. First of all, Benjamin was a 7th round pick, and he's been on an NFL roster for 2 years. That's a win for Benjamin. And if he gets through this year, when you're, I think, 3 years in the league, you get your pension. So that's what we should be rooting for. And they're with here. Listen, Tanner, they're with him every day with these other players, and he's not getting reps over Jonathan Ward, and he's not getting reps over Chase and James Conner, obviously. So he almost got cut his rookie year, and they stashed him away on the 53-man. And then this year, when given the opportunity, looked pretty good. I think he'll be on the roster next year, but I think he's just a guy in the NFL level right now, and that's all due respect to Eno.
Hey, Eno's a tough player. He's a hard worker. He's a hard, he runs hard. You saw that in the 49er game when he got his opportunity.
Love that.
But guys, listen, to be the bell cow, you got to have a different mindset. You got to have a different kind of way about you. And, again, it's funny how sometimes we all are like, oh my God, if they just did this, they just did this, they just did this, but we don't see all the behind the scenes stuff. You know what I mean? We just don't. And maybe Eno just doesn't do it for him. I mean, clearly he doesn't.
He was a 7th-round pick, so I think he's already exceeded his value. Name another 7th-round pick that's worth their salt for the Cardinals in the past 5 to 10 years, outside of LaRod Stevens-Howling. If he's on the roster, that's a good pick. You need a stable of 3 guys you trust with the ball. You can find those guys on day 3. I think the Cardinal rule, I don't love the idea of taking it back in the 3rd round, but if they trade down and get more picks, I don't have a problem with it. I want young offensive skill players to go with Kyler Murray and to grow with him. And I want this team to have some camaraderie and gel over the course of 3 to 5 years. Because we're phasing out now, and we can kind of put a bow on this, Saul, with the following. I think there's going to be a lot of roster turnover with the Cardinals in the next couple of weeks. We've already seen it. Chandler, gone, right? Christian Kirk, gone. Jordan Hicks, gone. I think there are going to be more cuts. And I think there are going to be guys that have been staples on this team for a long time that aren't re-signed. It's time for the new era of Cardinal football with Kingsbury and Kyler. Let's get some new faces in here because the status quo isn't good enough. They've collapsed down the stretch each of the past 2 seasons. So there should be some changes.
Agreed. 1,000,000%. With Kyler, you're constantly going to change your offense.
Yeah.
You're going to come, pieces are always, listen, the NFL, I think what the average turnover on a roster in the NFL is something like 30 or 40%.
Yep.
That's just the norm. You're not going to keep everybody happy. You're not going to keep everybody, especially if you're successful. If you're successful, these guys think that they have a large part of it and they want to get paid accordingly and they go get their money. And they usually go get their money with bad franchises because bad franchises need to build and establish that winning culture. Chandler Jones is going to go probably to a bad franchise. I doubt he's going to go to a Super Bowl contender. Now, if he goes to a Super Bowl contender, I had him completely pegged wrong and who knows what's going to happen, but I doubt that's going to happen. He's not going to freaking Denver. There's just no way. He's not going to a winning team. He's going to go get his money, and he's probably going to go get his money with some bum-ass team like the Jaguars, and that's fine. You know what I mean? And Christian Kirk probably going to do the same, because, listen, he's not going to go to the Packers. He's not going to go to the Broncos. He's not going to go to, all these other teams that have good quarterbacks. He's going to go to a team that needs a receiver because they think that that's going to help their shitty quarterback. That's where he's going to go. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be Detroit. It's probably going to be Chicago. It might be New Orleans. And none of them have a good quarterback. At least not yet with Justin Fields. I won't put him in the bad quarterback category because he's still young. He's still learning. And he had a trash-ass offensive line offensive coordinator last year in Nagy. But I will say, so outside of him, the other teams are trash. Like Jared Goff, trash. I don't even know who the hell is playing quarterback for the Saints anymore. They're trash.
Yeah.
Go get your money, man.
10 of the top 12 teams with cap space did not make the playoffs last year. What does that tell you? I mean, the teams that are aggressive are spending money, are wheeling and dealing. The Colts have $70 million in cap space. They own a quarterback. It doesn't mean a GD thing. Seahawks now 50 million, Jets 50, Dolphins 48, Jags. The Bengals and the Steelers are the only 2 teams in the top 12 that made the playoffs last year, but the Steelers don't have a quarterback. So, I mean, it's a lot of teams like Saul mentioned. The Lions have a lot of cap space, the Panthers, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Jets. I mean, Christian Kirk is not changing the stars for any of those teams. He's going to go and do what he did here, we think, and be a number 3 on certain Sundays and a number 2 on certain Sundays.
He's going to go look phenomenal September, October, November, and then in December and January, that's going to be that. And that's what he's done his entire career, basically. He's not had good second halves of his career, going all the way back to Wilkes. And it's not fair to judge Christian Kirk with with Steve Wilkes's crew because they had Josh Rosen, and Josh Rosen couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. But but outside of that, like Christian Kirk's a nice player. He's a nice piece to your organization if you can get him and you can afford him. And there's going to be a team that's going to pay a premium for having something that's nice. It's like upgrading the radio in your car. It's cool. It's nice. Is it necessary? Probably not.
Now, it's like upgrading an appliance from regular stainless steel. Oh, it looks nicer, right? Something like that.
To that black stainless steel. Cool.
That's right. Still keeps
Awesome.
your food cold. Regardless, the Cardinals as of now are 20th in salary cap space. This is all very fluid. They have
people need to stop saying Christian Kirk could be like Cooper Kupp. Like, no.
Who's saying that? People in the chat?
Somebody just.
I think Frank might have said it too in studio.
Yes, I know Frank said it, and I was like, no, Frank. Like, listen, I'm not going to argue with somebody that literally played in the NFL, but I did, and I will. I said I wouldn't. I completely contradicted myself, but like, there's just no way. Like, Cooper Kupp is just different. Yeah. Like, it's easy to see what Cooper Kupp does and say anybody could do that because they make it look easy. Mm-hmm. They do.
Can't argue with you. Kirk and Kupp don't belong. No, Kirk and Kupp don't belong in the same sentence according to NFL.
When I see that in the same sentence, I think.
Rebuild reminder.
Oh, that was the wrong one, man. What happened there? Oh, man. Oh, I was waiting for this.
Oh my god.
Rebuild reminder. Stupid.
All right, friends. I got a message. See, this is what I get on Twitter. I love everybody, but somebody just sent me a message. Murray for Watson, even though he's getting an extension soon. No, the Cardinals aren't trading Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson. Kyler Murray's the quarterback.
Listen, this franchise is very what's the best way to put it?
Risk averse.
Yeah, conservative to a degree. You know what I mean? Like they will make a sensible splash is what they like to do. Deshaun Watson is not a sensible splash whatsoever. Deshaun Watson is going to ruffle the feathers of a lot of people here in the Valley if that happened. And if that did happen, oh shit. I mean, we'd have a lot to talk about in the next month. I know that, but it's not going to happen. So
what is going to happen is we were going to be live all next week when news breaks. So typically we like to go live. We're going to start going live at 4:00 in the afternoon, but
1 hour later next week.
Yeah. 1 hour later, starting next week, unless we get breaking news. If we get breaking news, we will do emergency pods on this channel as soon as we can, right after, to break down all of the significant moves, signings of the Arizona Cardinals and otherwise. But in the meantime, do me a favor, friends. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. This is my favorite time of the NFL offseason, even more so than the draft. You cannot be in any sport, NFL free agency, when news breaks. I love it so much. I'm addicted to it.
We have two really cool, I mean, really fucking cool things that we're going to announce here in the next 2 weeks. I'm kind of waiting for the right time. But you know, we got some pretty cool things we want to announce. So stay tuned for that. NFL draft coverage. We're putting together a draft party. So you all can come out and join us and watch the draft with us and see who the Arizona Cardinals are going to pick. Hopefully they don't trade away that first rounder. But when
party and they traded out.
Yeah, you know, okay, well now we're all just going to look at each other and just drink. That's fine. Still fun. Yeah. So stay tuned for that, and we'll have more details than that to come.
Also, we have a member of the Arizona Cardinal offensive line joining us in a couple weeks. It's exciting. Give us some insight. I bet we ask him about Kyler Murray. In the meantime, guys, like, subscribe, go PHNX on YouTube, PHNX Sports, go PHNX.com. Become a member of our family. There's no better time. We appreciate, we love all of you. We will get through this free agency period together, and we will be better for it. And maybe one day we'll even get new uniforms. For the GM, Saul Bookman, I'm Johnny Venerable. See you for the festivities starting on Monday.